Hey everybody, I'm Mary Riposo. I'm a Reiki Master, author, teacher, and I'm here today to have a conversation with Lisbeth. And do you want to say something about yourself before we get into it?
Well, I will just say that I'm professionally trained as a registered nurse and am now I consider myself to be a spiritual entrepreneur and manifestation mentor. So, of course, the universe crossed our paths. So I can't wait for us to chat about the magic that we have created in the last couple of months.
Yeah, so we met in a class, right? And we have been doing some nice creative work with card decks. And I know all of my friends and people who watch have been asking me a lot of stuff about the card decks. And I've been using, my gosh, I've been using my card deck that I created in so many ways. So I'm just going to grab mine too, because I know we're going to probably want to use them and show them a little bit in our conversation. So talk about the class a little bit, maybe.
So, like Mary said, we met on the Facebook's machine in a class, and well, we kind of met in two classes. Should we speak about both classes?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so there's a card deck creation course that we met in with the beautiful Daniela. Her social media name is Nohoranda, and she is located in London, and she has the most gorgeous illustrations of what I would call very divine feminine illustrations that are so the embodiment of nature and liberation and inquiry and just absolutely beautiful. And so I have created a card deck before, and I had a designer, and I didn't know what I was doing, and everything from the idea generation to the design to the printing and the selling them. Like, there's so many different things. And what I loved about Daniela's course is that it's literally soup to nuts, having a theme for your cards. And she obviously, or she gives you the opportunity to use her illustrations in the card deck, which was a very attractive component for me, because to be able to use an artist's illustrations and something like this that you produce and create and sell is one of the most valuable things that you can do. Because yes, we created these on Canva, which we absolutely love, and it's super flexible. However, there's so many legal nuances in what you can and can't do. And so having the liberty to use her gorgeous creations, to me, was like the reason I signed up. However, she's a very successful businesswoman, and actually was sought out after by a publishing company to sell her cards. And so when you're doing something, it's always beneficial to look toward the people who are doing or have done what you want to do and done it successfully. And so super easy, super accessible. And she also has a Facebook group where you can ask questions. And so that was like really appealing to me. What about her course was most attractive to you, Mary?
Oh my gosh, I have loved card decks for a long time. And in the Reiki space and the spiritual space, as you know, card decks are huge. We use them in our sessions and our classes. And it's just a really good way to connect with spirit, right? To get those spiritual downloads and to share that with a client is amazing. So I've been using, other people's card decks for years. And I've always wanted a Reiki card deck, one that was just in alignment with the Reiki principles and, that type of thing. And I never could really find one that was perfect. And I don't think I ever really thought about, I'll create my own. I just, I knew there were a lot out there. There are tarot cards, there are, oracle decks. And I always was really working with Oracle decks more than anything else. But when I think I was in Amber's group when I saw Daniela come on live and start talking about creating a card deck. And it just really struck me that, oh my gosh, I wonder, if I could actually do this. And, she does make it really easy. Like, I don't know. I know you said you've made one previously. I don't think I would have ever known where to start even. And when I saw the illustrations, that really did it for me too. They are divine feminine. They're very spiritual. They're beautiful. They're uplifting, everything that I would want, to use in a card deck. So all the illustrations were perfect. And just to be able to use those and have a step-by-step direction, and not just even in the creation, but in the printing, in the marketing, in the selling of them, that's sometimes where people can get derailed. And so I think, like you said, it goes from soup to nuts. It's just from the beginning, the creative process of like, how do you even want to start thinking about this, all the way through to the manifestation of them. I think that was just so great.
You want to know, I think the coolest thing is to see, like, so she gives you a bundle of different illustrations. And my favorite part, Mary, is to see all the cool humans who purchased her course. We're all using all using the same illustrations, and the way that we all co-create and like the final product, to me, that is like just the coolest part. And I'm sure for Daniela, that's the cool part, right? Like seeing how someone takes your creation and then totally turns it into, something completely. Like there's a woman who's doing, it's like a deck for moms, MUMS, but that's where she is in the world. And so moms of teenagers. And another woman, I'm not going to be able to remember the title. It's super specific. And so I think as entrepreneurs, if you're a coach, if you're a healer, if you're a therapist, like, and you're missing the creative juju in your work, like this is such a perfect portal to bring in some creativity with the support of a freaking artist who is amazing to like share your message. Like to me, I just think that it's such a powerful way to add residual income to your work as a healer. And it's like having a coach or a therapist, a Mary in your back pocket. Like if you can't go see Mary, well, you got her card deck, just get it out of your bag. You know what I mean?
That's actually what people say too. They're like, I haven't had a session with you in a while, but I got your card deck. And every time I pull a card, I hear your voice, because I created, of course, all the messages on the card deck. So I feel like the visuals, the illustrations just are kind of married with that. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And a lot of my clients are coaches and healers of some sort, therapists. And even though my deck is a Reiki deck, it's a self-care deck. And so many people use it in their practice. And what I love the best is I get messages all the time from people, whether they're texting me, Facebook messaging, or whatever. And they tell me about this experience they've had with the deck. And they say, I was in this really down space, or this happened to me, or I was, whatever. And then they got quiet, they pulled a card, and it spoke to them. And they have this transformation, this healing, this feeling of comfort or something, something positive happens. And, I definitely couldn't have done it without the structure of the class, but also, like you said, the community, because not only does Daniela really support us and celebrate our wins and everything else, but you do see what other people are doing. And, somebody might say, oh, well, why would you want to use illustrations that other people are using, right? Like, it's going to look the same as everybody else's. And like you said, they really, really don't. And you do have permission to, you know, change things up. You can add things to them and use the illustrations in different ways and use some of the illustrations and some not. You can create in your own way, which is so great. So
Let's see
I
your
just love
deck,
it.
lady. Can we see it? Let's see yours. They're
Oh,
so
yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody's turned out really great. I don't know if you can see them too well because of the
Oh yeah.
glare, but I loved this particular picture.
I love that image.
Right? Isn't
Yes,
that,
yes, I love that one.
it really looks like she's doing like a self Reiki session or something like that. And then, I just have lots of different um, illustrations. I mean, I added wings to this one.
Oh
It
yeah.
didn't come like that. Um, and you can just add, she has backgrounds that are separate from the people. So you can add the backgrounds or not, just have the individuals, the women on there. Um, I added some
Oh, I
energy
love that one.
moving. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And really all of them have different messages. So on the front, I have like this one says attention, and on the back of it, energy flows where attention goes. If you want to manifest something in your life, pay close attention to it until it becomes your reality.
Let's see the back so we can see how the
Mhm.
design.
Yeah. So just really simple. And I made mine so that you can see them. They're kind of bigger print. Yeah.
So
So,
beautiful.
and all of them, they're so different,
I
and
love the woman right there with child. Oh, that's another one of my favorites.
I know. They're gorgeous. Yeah, this one's about being calm.
Mm, I
Yeah.
love all the moon vibes in these cards and these illustrations.
I
Oh,
just got really quiet and I went into a Reiki meditation, which is part of my practice. And I would gaze at one of the illustrations and just download a message that came to me. And I just started writing. I just took like, I don't know, a week or something like that. And I just had the illustrations in front of me and I would just wait for something to come through and I just write it down. And then I pulled it all together. And my deck is 44. How many do you have in yours?
44.
44. Yeah.
And of
Angel
course
numbers.
it's 111. Like some of us are open to the numerology situation.
We
I
are.
just love that. So just a little different experience that I had. So my first card deck, this was my tuck box. This is a pretty typical. I had these printed by Make Playing Cards. It's a very well-known Chinese company. Wonderful, very reasonable. And so this time I wanted to brand my tuck box because I didn't have my first one branded and I wanted to up the game. And so of course, using Daniela's images, and then I was able to put stuff on the back. And mine also have 44. And it's so cool, Mary, to hear you talk about your process. So I just, this is inside Canva, these templates that you have. You get 3 different sizes to choose from, which is very helpful because even people who design on Canva, listen, figuring out the margins, because when you are professionally having something printed, you better be dang sure that the margins are correct, because anyway, that's worth its value just right there in the course. So I started playing around with the visuals in Canva, and just like you, I played around, and then I started adding and removing things and just like getting into the flow, into the zone. And it's like, oh wow, like this woman right here, okay, she is with child, and this is the word expansion. And it says, your desires and all the resources you will ever need are within you now, waiting to be birthed. How can you allow them to be expressed? What is the easiest and most obvious next step? So just like you, Mary, it's like I communed with the image, and then it was like this message just came to me. And you were sharing how when your clients when they have your card deck, right, it's like they're communing with your energy, the Reiki. It's so fabulous. And to me, like, yes, I love working one-on-one with people. However, having the ability to have these floating around in the universe and attracting the exact right people, and for them to have an experience, to me is like the richest, possible thing. And so my focus is manifestation. And to me, I give women the permission and the practical tools to be able to create a relationship with their spiritual or divine nature. Because to me, all manifestation is an expression of our divine essence. And so, like, when we're connected with that energy, all things are possible, where once we saw doors and no's, we see solutions and opportunities and flow. And one of the most profound comments that was made was a woman who does gentle trauma release therapy. And she said, I have never liked affirmations. And for people with complex trauma, they can actually be like pouring fuel on a fire. And as a nurse and someone who's very conscientious and values integrity more than anything, she said, however, your cards and your work are so powerful because it's not offering like a call to action. It's an invitation. And what she explained very scientifically was, when you ask a question, you're bypassing the subconscious. So the subconscious doesn't know what to do when you say, how can you allow your desires to be expressed? And so it's really wonderful for people that do have trauma. So it's gentler, it's kinder. And I think so many of us, right, Mary, are always coming from the place of, or we're conditioned rather, to have shame, to blame ourselves, to be shooting on ourselves. And it's like, if we ask a question, it opens up like curiosity, compassion, so that then like our divine and eternal nature can actually bubble up to the surface. And no one else is like giving us the answer. Like we're birthing it through our own process. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's like connecting with your higher self. It's that invitation to do that instead of, and mine are too. And that's in that same way, I think. I'm not giving affirmations. I'm kind of, just giving messages that are open-ended.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually like that style too. I think when I'm looking for Oracle cards or something like that, other decks in the past, those are really the ones that I've gone to. Instead of like the, manifestation sayings where you're like, it's a whole different, I think it is a whole different mindset that you're coming into. And so just, I haven't really thought about that until we were really talking about that just now, but I think that really is, it can be helpful in the healing field. And supportive for people's process so that they can have agency. They can take their own healing into their own hands and really get that transformation. I like being able to do that in a way rather than telling people you need to say this statement 20 times every single day. It's just a whole different process. It's much more in alignment with what I believe and how my healing process goes in my sessions and things like that. So I think our process, even though they're different, I think they have a lot of similarities. Yeah.
Absolutely. So obviously people that are watching this that follow you probably already know. Just in case though, could you walk us through, like, if somebody was new to this and wanted to start working with these cards, like how would you suggest that they, like, a day in the life of what it's like to work with these cards? What would that be like?
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, they're for anybody, but they could also be used professionally, personally. What I noticed a lot of people do is they get the card deck for themselves And the easiest way to use it is to, first thing in the morning, to just take the deck, and you can place your hands on it, connect in, be quiet for a moment, and then you can shuffle the cards or cut the cards and just pull a card. You can ask a question first, what does the universe want me to know today? Or you can think of a problem that you're having, right? And then just pull a card, read, of course, look at it deeply as far as the visual, and also then just read the back and let that just percolate in, let it settle into you. And of course, you can journal about it. You can have it, often people will carry the card that they choose around with them that day. Whether they carry the physical card or whether they take a picture on their phone, right? And then they refer to it throughout the day. Some people will do this every single day. And then some will do it as they feel guided, like if they're, coming to the deck for an issue or something like that. I also have a lot of people who are seeing clients, right? So coaches, therapists, healers in some way. And what you can do with that is you can, of course, ask your client if you're doing in person, they can pick a card for themselves. And of course, then you're going to be able to give them time maybe to process it, process the meaning. Or like for me, if I'm doing a Reiki session, I will have a person pick a card, or because I'm doing things online now, I'll pick a card on their behalf. And they have that message and that visual to be with throughout the session. So it can go really deep in terms of their understanding. At the end of the session, since I'm doing online, I will always text them a picture of the front and back so that they have it. And I think what I've noticed is several people say, I just use that as my wallpaper on my phone so that I can look at it. And they're going deeper with it. They're journaling about it and things like that. When I do a class, I will pick a card, or we do Reiki shares or circles online. I'll pick a card in the beginning to set the tone for the day, for the class, for everyone. There are so many ways that you can use the cards, probably many more ways than I could even think of. And I love it when people get back to me and say, oh my gosh, I did this with the cards. The other day I was thinking about it, and I tend to get a whole deck of cards that I'm going to be giving it away. And I don't mean give the deck to someone. I will, if I'm sending, I still send like a birthday card that's an actual card, right? Or a sympathy card or something like that. When I do that, I'll pick a card for the person and I'll slip it into the birthday card or slip it into the birthday gift as I'm wrapping it. Sometimes I will just, hand a card to someone that I'm talking to someone and, we're having a deeper conversation, and I'll pick a card and they'll be like, oh my gosh, that's exactly right. And I'll just give it to them to take with them. So I always have one deck that I'm always just handing out to people. And that's really special for people too. But maybe you can think of other ways to use the cards. And I'm sure I'm going to keep getting information from people telling me, a unique way that they've used it that was healing for someone.
Mm-hmm. I love the idea of like going out. It's like people going out and just leaving dollar bills all over the place. It's like, and of course, planting seeds. And the coolest part is like, if you could like be a fly on the wall and like see, you've seen these viral videos, right? Where like, I don't know, maybe there's a homeless person and it's like somebody places I've seen one where there's like a trash bag and it's full of like all of this food and clothes, and the person's reaction is just, oh, it's so rewarding. To me, the reason that people are so attracted and supported by cards is because of energy, right? Like we always, whether we're feeling troubled or confused or we need some direction, the card that we attract is the same frequency that we're emitting. So it always feels so reassuring and like, oh, that's right on point. Or, you know, whether you're doing a live stream and you're pulling cards for people in a different country, right? It's the magnetism of the frequency and the energy, and I think that's why it feels so supportive. And I think I had some feedback about actually when I was creating these cards, and my previous deck, I just have one word like peace or synchronicities. And then there was like an affirmation. I call it wisdom bits, things that I know to be true. And then a thought-provoking question. And it was actually my sister, when I was designing these, I just had the image and then a message. I didn't have like just a focal point. And she said, I really think it's helpful. And it seems like you have the same. It's like an idea, a word, something that like draws your focus in on this one thing. Like this one is hilarious. You can't make this stuff up. I am present. And it's this woman hugging Mother Gaia. And so in terms of manifestation, supposedly our momentum stops when we are sleeping. And so when you wake up and when you become aware that you're awake and conscious, one of the most powerful things we can do is tap into the intention and the energy that we want to call forth in the new day. And so to me, the morning is such a sacred time, whether you pull a card deck or you, before your feet hit the floor, it's like one thing that you are absolutely appreciative of. That's not forced. That's not like, I have to be grateful. It's like, oh my gosh, this bed is so comfortable. Like, I'm so appreciative of this. And it's like, if you can hold that energy for 17 seconds, like 300 other similar sentiments will join it, which is the law of attraction. So it's like the morning is such a huge portal if we can get into the practice of that. And then, of course, if you pull a card and then later in the day you look at it, it's like, oh, am I present? I'm present. What does that mean? And it's just, I don't know. It's the gift that keeps on giving, right, Mary?
It sure is.
Oh
I've
my
had so many, so many people that I don't even know that have purchased these for someone else, right? Someone who is going through cancer treatment or someone who's lost a relative or something like that. And there's so much going on in the world right now that's so hard that, people are having a hard time finding those little moments that are beautiful, that they're grateful for. And I think just, like you said, just kind of planting seeds out in the universe, sending things out. Of course, it makes the person who's giving feel so good to be able to offer something to someone that, that's hurting. But I think we're starting to feel like Daniela, because she feels like, oh, her illustrations are going out there. We're using them. We're creating these beautiful things. But, and then we're doing it. So it's rippling out. It's that energy of healing and upliftment and all of this beautiful joy going out into the world. And, I was thinking as you were talking, we've been talking about how we have this deeper process and how we kind of downloaded messages and things like that. But I have to say, if somebody is thinking about taking Daniela's course or creating a deck in some way, and they're like intimidated by, oh, I don't think I can, I don't have the process to like, retrieve spiritual messages and things like that. It feels like it's a little bit too high level for me or something like that. I would just tell them, don't even worry about it. You can use other people's, if you have permission, you can use other people's words. You can, just use one word, like you said. I've definitely seen decks that have one focal word and they're beautiful. Sometimes that says it all, right? You can be simple, and sometimes the simplest is the most powerful. So I would say, you don't need your own artwork. I don't feel like, oh my gosh, this isn't really mine because it's not my artwork. I'm not an artist. I'm happy to use these beautiful, absolutely beautiful images on these. I mean, they're gorgeous, and so
Read
many
us
of
that
them.
card.
What's this card?
Read
It
us,
says,
yeah.
yeah, compassion. And it says, just says, when things get hard, drop your awareness into your heart center and view your problems through the lens of compassion. Listen from the heart.
Mm.
And, in Reiki, we talk about the three energy centers, and the middle dantian is that seat of compassion. And this looks like someone really, practicing Reiki or practicing meditation or practicing anything. So, I just added a few little sparkles around her, but otherwise, this is a background. And then this is an image that's overlaid on top of the background. And I just added a little sparkle to her. And that's it.
So
And I
beautiful.
believe she was, like, of course, the image came with the full length image, which I could have used, and I decided to use only from here up. So you can just use them, however you like, however it works for your design.
So how do people get your cards?
Yeah, so I used more of a local printer. So I love how you make playing cards, and I use Vervante. I sell my cards through my website, and I'll put a link to my website. It's infinitelightcenter.com. So I sell them through my website. I take the orders there and I send them to the printers, and then they get them directly from the printer. And there's a lot of different options. Like, you have a really nice tuck box. You've shown us how you could do a plain tuck box with nothing on it. You could do one that's branded and beautiful, and it has images on, and information on it. I decided to do mine in an organza bag, and I don't have it right in front of me, but everybody knows what those little drawstring bags look like. Yeah, exactly. Mine come in a little drawstring bag. And people have been saying, because you want to ask and make sure that people are getting what they want. People are saying that they love that they typically use a drawstring bag for their cards anyway, and they can just pull it, put it in their bag, or put it in their desk drawer, or they're on their altar or whatever, and kind of carry them around like that too. So there's so many different options, from your local printer in your town to, I think mine is in Utah. I live in the, East Coast in the New England area, but they come really quickly, and I think that make playing cards are pretty quick to ship out. I mean, people get them in kind of record time.
Yeah, so we actually use the same printer. So I got a trial of these from Make Playing Cards, and they did a great job. However, I'm very eco-conscious, and so I'm all about supporting local businesses. So I actually went with Vervante,
Okay.
which is really considered a drop shipper, which that's like for a whole nother broadcast. However,
Yeah.
I sell mine on my website, and we can put a link to that as well. And I use Shopify as my e-commerce, and it's linked through my website. Anyway, so yeah, this has been so much fun, Mary, to talk about our magical creations, thanks to the Miss Noharanda, and yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have met otherwise.
I know.
And to just kind of see, be able to support each other and be able to see what we've been doing, and, just be able to show people really that there's so many options, and inspire everybody. Hopefully everyone that's listening, watching, will be just inspired to start somewhere and to create something that, we've been talking about all the good things that have come out of this. So I just encourage everyone to just, start somewhere and let your magic go out into the world.
Hallelujah. Yes.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. It was a great conversation.
It was fun to be here. Thanks, Mary.
You're welcome. And I'll link everything below.
Perfect.
Right.
Thanks.